got a chance to see Civil War, starring Kirsten Dunst. Let's go into my thoughts right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me as we talk about movies and comic books and television shows and the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zenka. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a working line producer. About to get back to work next month. Got to get my flight back to LA. Of course, I moved to Atlanta so I can go back to working in LA. Makes no sense. But anyway, I do have a movie coming up. But if you're a budding filmmaker yourself, if you're wanting to know about how to produce low-budget films or web series or shorts or whatever else, I am giving a class. I figured I would do that before I left for LA, so it's next weekend, the 20th and the 21st. We're going to be going through writing at a budget, as well as budgeting, scheduling, crewing, and then my other buddy is going to be coming in and talking about raising money as well. So everything you kind of want to know. We are doing an early bird special for $30 off right now. It's going to be lots of fun and interactive. So you can check out the link in the description below, and it'll take you right to the thing, and it automatically takes the $30 off, at least for the next few days. All right, so jump on that if you can. All right, so let's jump into Civil War. I was pretty excited about this because it is very timely, and because I know that there has been no time in history outside of the 1860s when our country is divided as it is right now. So I was very interested to see how the filmmaker would kind of thread the needle here without, going from one side too much or to the other side too much, and kind of tell a story about a civil war happening in the United States. I found that very compelling. And, A24 normally does some good work, and they're normally on a lower budget. The budget on this was not low, however. For what the subject matter was, it was pretty low because this kind of film with this kind of effects and fighting would be, closer to the $100 million range. Instead, they did it for $50. But just goes to show you that you can, on a low budget, still, I wouldn't call $50 million a low budget. They still need to raise, this movie still needs to do $100 million plus, probably more like the $130 million just to break even. So $50 million is quite a bit. But it is far cheaper than anything else that the big studios are normally doing for this size. And the last few scenes, the last battle scene, I should say, was very good. I mean, they really, really went to town on the last scene. So we have the writer-director of this. His name is Alex Garland. He is very, very hit and miss for me. So there's a lot of stuff that he's done that I've liked, and then there's some other stuff that I absolutely hated. And some of these things, so let's go through some of his credits. And he didn't write and direct all these. Mostly he's on the writing side, but he has directed a couple of them. So Ex Machina. Liked it. He did a good job. That was a very low-budget film. It all took place basically in one location. But the special effects for the see-through type of skin for the androids was pretty interesting. Of course, the whole ending didn't make any sense, where she was able to take skin off one android and put it on herself. It didn't make any sense. And then you couldn't even see the seams. It was really weird. Anyway, so parts of that really worked and parts of it didn't. Annihilation with Natalie Portman. Liked the cast. The movie was horrendous. It was just, in my opinion, you couldn't even follow it. It was one of those things that just like, what are you even doing? 28 Days Later, yeah. Men, no. So he's done Devil May Cry video game stuff, but he also did Dread, which I absolutely love. So I thought he did a really good service to that character. So like I said, he's very hit and miss for me. Some of the stuff I really, really like, and some of the stuff I was like, ugh, it's just horrible. So, but he does know how to make a movie on a budget. I give him that. And I thought here with Civil War that the actors did a very good job. Kirsten Dunst really wanted to do something different. And if you're looking for something different in the theater, this is definitely different. So this is not a remake of something. This is not a reboot of something, which is refreshing right off the bat. But do I think that he really took this and did what he set out to do? No. I don't think that I think the name blurs what the film is really about. The film is not really about Civil War at all. That is not the plot. That is the structure. That is the bookends. It's really a road movie. That's really what it is. It's a road movie, and it's about people in the press, journalists driving across the country during a civil war. That's what this is. It's not about the Civil War. And that's where I found this movie lacking. Because I went to see a movie about a civil war, and instead I got a movie about people driving across the country that, ran into problems. I don't know how else to say it. But, that's how you need to walk in, knowing that this is not a war movie. This is about journalists that do war coverage. And again, I thought that Kirsten Dunst did a really good job of embodying a character that had seen so much that she had turned off every bit of feeling. And I forgot the Kaylee. I forgot her last name. Anyway, she's a cutie. She's tiny, and she's 20-something years old, and she looks like she's 12. Did I think that she was the right pick for this character? Not really. Not really. Let's see if Kaylee Spaney. She was from the second movie with the Pacific Rim. She was from the second Pacific Rim movie. She was the one that piloted the little robot. I thought she was great in there. She was perfect for that role in there. Here, I think because she looks so young, she looks young below her years. I wasn't really buying it. So that was the problem. Now, was her acting poor? No, not at all. She really, really tried, and she was able to steel herself at the end as well. And when I mean steel herself, she basically turns into Kirsten Dunst. There's some problems. There's some plot problems with the film as well, especially at the end with Kirsten Dunst's character and her arc. She's wearing a bulletproof vest. That's all I got to say about that. She's wearing a bulletproof vest, and I did not see it work. That's my problem. So there was some other problems with the ending, but the battle scene at the end really works. So I understand that they were trying to stay separated from what was happening today. And there is obviously some correlations to Trump in this, where they said he's on his third term. I mean, you didn't need to shove that in my face. That line was completely unneeded and unnecessary, but we all know why they put that in there.
because there's that stupid rumor that he's just never going to leave the Oval Office, or if he was not going to leave, he wasn't going to leave in the last election. He's going to be 80 something years old, man. I don't buy any of that. Yeah, he's gonna be looking to retire. He's probably looking to commit suicide by the time this thing is over. But also, they specifically teamed up California and Texas, which in today's world there would never be a team up between those two, ever. The only thing they share is that they're border states. But other than that, ideology-wise, they don't share anything. But I understand why they did that, because they took basically a red state, and they took a blue state from today. They shoved them together so nobody could say, well, it was a blue or it was a red. And but anyway, so it was 2 states against the rest of the country. So there's a lot of holes here that don't make any sense. How could 2 states team up to attack the White House and win? It doesn't make any sense. There's no way. They have the entire nation military against the military of 2 states. And they didn't go in there explaining anything. They didn't explain why these 2 states were teamed up. They didn't try to explain that half of the military sided with one and half of the other. I mean, they didn't even try to do one-liners based on that. So you're like just scratching your head going, what's even going on here? So, but they did go into, some sects that are throughout the United States that had their own little wars going on, or had their own little battles going on. That kind of thing. So we had Middle America, dealing with their own private Idahos kind of thing. So yeah, so again, the movie had a lot of problems with it. I recommend it purely on the acting, some of the fight scenes, but otherwise it's very discoordinated. It's kind of all over the place. And it's just, all it is a character study. That's what it is. It's a character study about people in this, horrendous situation. And they have put themselves there. Some of them get off on the violence and the thrill, and kind of put other people into danger because they are being overly reckless. And so that's the story. But yeah, I mean, what's happening today with our division of our ideologies in this country, I don't think would ever amount to a physical civil war. I don't think it would ever happen. What I think is going to happen is that we're going to have red states and we're going to have blue states, and people are just going to migrate to wherever they kind of want to be, which is kind of what's happening now with people just businesses and people just like leaving California and New York and just in droves. I think that's just going to happen, and but I think it'll become a little bit more stratified, where it's like you have to pledge to the right or to the pledge to the left to even get into the state. That's what I think's gonna happen. I mean, even when I moved here, I was bombarded with. So, are you bringing your ideology here? Because I'm in a red state here, so I am being questioned. So. It is interesting to see what will happen. That's what I think is eventually going to happen if we stay divided as we are, and even more so. I just think that each state will choose which side it wants to be on, and I think that's what what it'll be, and so I think it'll just go in one direction, and the other states will go in this direction, and whatever side you want to be on is where you'll migrate to. So we'll see what happens. But it's interesting. But I was disappointed with the film, and I did watch some other people's reviews, and they did bring that up, that a lot of people just really liked it because they didn't need the plot, because there is no plot. There's no plot. It's purely about people on a road trip going to D.C. to see the president. And, the president being attacked directly by what they called the Western forces. I don't know if Texas is considered a Western state, but okay. So Western forces. And with absolutely no rhyme or reason to why, how, what's going on. It doesn't even touch on any of it. It doesn't touch on it because that's not the plot. That's purely the device that moves the plot along. That's it. So I know a lot of people gave this thing like an 8 and stuff like that, but I can't do that, as I wasn't enthralled with it. I didn't think it was great. The moving factor was Kirsten Dunst character, and the group that was there, but it's not a movie I'll probably ever see again. So and I don't think it's going to touch really anybody's life in any one way or another. So anyway, that's me. If I'm going to rate it from a 1 to 10, it's that 6.5, 7 range for me. Good, not great. And the acting elevates it, and special effects elevate it. But I can see where he spent a lot of his money. I mean, there was one scene where he has helicopters, which I'm sure some of that was CGI, but some of it wasn't. There was just fields of like Humvees and tanks and stuff like that. All those rentals, which, I mean, one day of all that stuff was probably like $3 to $4 million. Just in like rentals. Oh my God, it's crazy. And I'm sure, again, they did a cut and paste with some of it, too. But yeah, so let me know if you guys see it, what you guys think. Did you like it? Was it an 8, 9 for you? Or do you agree that, there was really no plot? It was just a character study based on these people that, went into the war zones. All right, so that's it from me. Thank you guys again so much. Remember to give me a like and a subscribe. Give me that thumbs up. Feel free to make a comment. Tell me I'm stupid or an asshole or whatever. All works for me because any kind of communication and integration or whatever else helps the algorithm. So it does help me. So give me a thumbs up. And if you can subscribe, please do. I am trying to grow the channel out. And, I'd like to do more reviews. Again, if you're comic fans, I do plenty of reviews on comic books. I do at least 3 to 4 a week. And I do like 3 times. So if you're interested about seeing what I think of comics and how, if they would be, go into like a movie, if they would pull a movie from it, if it's able to be pulled out from a movie, I do go into that. Plus, if you want to see what Marvel's doing, what DC is doing, and what their possible slate might be in the future, this would be where they would be pulling from. So anyway, that's it for me. And remember to look in the description below if you're looking to jump on that class. It is going to be fun and very informative if you are looking to get into the industry in one way or another. And then if you're a fan of games at all, Mark Spears, who does cover art for Spawn and Spider-Man and Vampirella and stuff like that, we're doing a card game called Mythlord. This is a Oz expansion. The actual regular box is bigger, but this is just the expansion. So you're going to be able to play as classic monsters because it's based on classic monsters. So you could be, Dracula, Wolfman, and that kind of thing. And so we'll be launching that shortly. I will put also the link for that description below so you can kind of sign up. So when we do launch it, we'll notify you, and you can check out some of the art and things to that effect. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I definitely appreciate your time and listening to me rant, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, bye-bye.